You're watching our continuing coverage here from Washington, D.C. as Prime Minister Modi gets ready to meet with President Donald Trump. Joining us now is Sundar Advani, the Regional President of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Advani, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I understand that AmCham is going to be reaching out to U.S. lawmakers to perhaps help with more convergence between India and the U.S. on their shared interests. Take me through what is planned and what's on the agenda.
Well, actually, I am more involved in the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, and we as AmCham work together, and we're trying to get to this 500 billion U.S. Trade between India and the U.S.
How realistic a number is that?
Well, I think today, as an economist, I would say it may take a little longer than I thought originally that it would, because I think both India is trying to make things in India itself, and the U.S. also wants to make things in the U.S. So there'll be less trade between the two countries as a result of that. But I did write to President Trump that, you could make everything in the U.S., but it may not be as cheap as other countries can make it, so you should concentrate on those things which you're really good at and where you have an advantage competitively. So I hope he does take note of that, and I hope that there will be more trade as a result. And I understand that he has to worry about the loss of jobs in Wisconsin and Michigan. So I did suggest to him ways how he could possibly retrain those workers so that they may not get steel plants and automobile industry back, but they certainly can train those same people to do other things. And here I think India can really do a great service. And that's what I suggest to the Prime Minister. I wrote him a letter this morning saying that you suggest that to them, that we could send a lot of our trained engineers for a short-term assignment to the United States to train the people in Detroit who have lost their jobs and other things. Because our engineers speak English, and of course they're so educated and so well conversant that they can easily train people. In fact, when I was in the U.S. as an economist, we did help backward areas of the United States and Appalachia to try to help build them up from the bootstraps, and that's exactly what we did. We had them do a master plan for those areas and suggest what they were good at, and then give them some help so that they could raise themselves up from their bootstraps.
The Prime Minister has, without talking about the H-1B issue, has raised the issue of the free movement of people in the context of engineers, researchers, scientists, etc., saying that, look, both sides can work together to build on innovation and the knowledge economy. Do you believe that there is going to be an appreciation of that within the Trump administration?
I think so. I think they'll realize that the U.S. companies are benefiting a lot from the fact that all these trained engineers are coming here and working in the U.S. And of course, that's how the U.S. was built, with people coming from Europe, etc. And that's how the U.S. grew, and there was a freedom of movement, and people with knowledge and skills came here and helped the economy grow. And I think it will be appreciated, and I think that will happen sooner or later.
What continue to be the areas of concern that American investors have when talking about investing in India? You continue to be very confident that we are going to see trade grow, but there have been issues with respect to market access, for instance.
Well, I think this is a challenge. That's true, that they are having some concerns because our laws should be fixed for the next 5 or 10 years. When an investor or an entrepreneur does invest, he wants to see what's going to happen for the next 10 years so he can recoup his investment. So if he's not sure of what's going to happen next year or the year after, he will definitely think twice about investing in a country like that. Even an Indian entrepreneur like myself would be the same way. That, if I don't see what's happening 5, 10 years down, how can I be sure? Because all these, like hotels, are very long gestation projects. They take 5 years to build, and then by the time you break even, that's another 2-3 years.
So 28% GST rate, you're not particularly happy with that?
Well, we did write to the finance minister, and fortunately he has listened to our appeal, and that he has reduced that upper
For restaurants?
No, for hotels as well.
Yes, for different kinds, but not for the luxury hotels or the 5-star hotels.
No, it is actually now based on room rates and not on the star category.
Yes.
So if you sell a room for over 7,500 rupees per day instead of 5,000, which was previously announced,
That's right.
it does give some hotels a breather in a way, because 7,500 in off seasons is a good rate. And so if we have to sell at Christmas time for say 10 or 12, 15,000 in Goa, it's okay. People will pay that 28%. That's not a problem.
Right.
But in the summer months when we are dying for business,
Yeah.
even though now we have 80% occupancy year-round in our hotel, which is unheard of. We were always doing about 20 or 30% in off-season. Now it's up to 60%. So it's become a year-round destination, Goa, as well.
So finally, let me end by asking you about what the expectation is from the visit and the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump today.
Well, I hope they hit it off well.
A handshake or a hug?
A hug, preferably. I think the two countries have so much in common, and both are great personalities, which I think they'll get along very well. And I think there'll be a greater bond between India and the U.S. And I think India really can contribute a lot to the U.S. And I think the U.S. will realize that there is, China and Russia trying to dominate the world, and India can really play a great player to help the U.S. and be a buffer.